I'll be at the game Sunday. You go to every game, so I'm not even going to ask if you're going to
Yep.
be there. We know you will be. What if the Jets are going to win Sunday? What is the ideal path for them to finally get a win over a Panthers team that comes in feeling good about themselves, 2 straight wins, and they are a slight favorite as a road team in this one?
I think it's kind of the same path of last week, in a lot of ways. Broncos were coming off an emotional high win against Philly, trip to London, come out with a little bit of a slow start. The defense is able to force an early turnover. You get a nice return. Um, you capitalize. You make your kicks. You're not a team with 12 penalties. You were a team last week with 2 penalties, one of which was a meaningless one on special. So like a lot of the same recipe to win. Jake, I know this sounds very. I'm not that smart, so I feel like I sound like even more of an idiot saying this. But like the Jets' keys to winning are very elementary. Get off the field on third down. Convert your third and shorts. Score touchdowns, not field goals in the red zone. Create turnovers. Don't be the most penalized team. And end halves the right way. And I know it sounds very elementary, and the Jets have not done a good job of this. Obviously, they're 0-6. But like Carolina's coming off back-to-back home wins, young team, awful road team. Not that MetLife's going to be any type of cauldron for anybody to go play at, but the point being, like, can they not sit there and go, all right, can the defense hold them to 17 points, 17 to 20 points ish? Can the Jets create a turnover or two? Can Kenne break another, not a touchdown, but can he set them up with a return at the Panthers 47 and the Jets need 20 yards, 20 yards to go get, they can control the clock a little bit. And most importantly, Jake, I think the one key, and I know, where you're kind of out with Glenn, but can they adjust, right? I think this is something the rest of the year that honestly, while it's not a given, you'd like to see, hey, they botched the end of the half last week, right? I think we all know that. I think even the biggest Jets fans, green goggles, et cetera, would say, hey, that was poor. Can the Jets Sunday, can Glenn make an adjustment? And can we say, hey, he learned from his mistake? That was awful against Denver. But hey, they actually were the better coached team at the end of the first half, end of the second half. Am I expecting that? Probably not. But I'd like to see it because I'd like to be able to say, hey, like there's tangible things he's gotten better at. That would go a long way in having the Jets win on Sunday.
I think this is a big game for the head coach, Will, because even if you're the biggest Glenn fan, that was an embarrassment that the entire league saw and every fan saw this past week. So now it's no longer, oh, the Jets are just bad and Jet fans and, the Jet media verse is aware of it. Now it's like, oh, they're a national punching bag again. How they respond in this game and the 2 games after that feel like you're facing teams in your weight class. I think we learn a lot about this coach, especially if Fields goes out there and he struggles again, he's got to be willing to make a change to save the team, save the locker room. Because I think you start approaching the territory with that. If Fields is terrible, he's getting booed, and then Glenn is just sitting there not doing anything, as we probably lost Will due to the fact that his internet connection is almost as bad as the New York Jets. So, Will, as far as what I was saying, I don't know what part it got cut off, but I really do think this is one of those games where, like, it's on the head coach to keep this team together, never have anything close to what we just saw last week again happen in any game, let alone this one. But like this to me is a real like litmus test on like where this team is at under Glenn based on how they respond on Sunday.
Yeah, I think you want to see them play with the same fire, same energy defensively on specials. I think outside of the quarterback last week, like everyone kind of came to play, right? I think a lot of what we thought this season was going to be, just from a look perspective, was tight, close ball games. You're going to have to be good on defense, take the football away. You have to be good on specials, and then on offense, it was like run the football, and they're not going to be some explosive offense. And I think outside of Fields last week, you saw a lot of what we were kind of expecting, right? I think we were all like, oh, can they get enough on defense? Can they get enough on specials to keep it close? End of the fourth quarter, and they win some of the games they didn't win last year. And unfortunately, like the offense was so putrid last week that it, made everything kind of turn to shit. But like, can Justin Fields just be like the 27th best quarterback in the NFL this week? Right? Like at some point, you got to complete 5 yard speed outs. You got to be able to pull it when Justin Fields doesn't use his legs anymore either, Jake. So this is a huge litmus test for them, right? It just is. It's like, it's Carolina's fine, solid team, but they're not like, they're not Denver's defense, and they're certainly not Denver's offense with Sean Payton there. So like, I don't know. Am I going to pick them to win? No, because they haven't won a game. Why would I pick the Jets to win at any game yet? But if they sit there and lose 31-10, it would be a pretty big disaster. You know, like I just there's a big difference to me of they lose 17-16 this week, Jake, and you know they get walked off like they did against Pittsburgh. But like we're like, hey, much better performance. We're seeing signs. Sorry, but like I can deal with that. I cannot deal with 31-17. Bryce Young throws for 355 and Justin Fields throws 2 garbage time touchdowns. I can't deal with that.
Well, I mean, if that happens, Will, when do you start to acknowledge the one and done conversation is a real thing?
I think the one and done conversation becomes a real thing if we get to second Patriots game, which is week 17, right? I think week 17.
No, earlier than that, is it not? Oh, no, you just said the second Patriots game.
Yeah,
Okay.
second Patriots game. It looks like shit for the next, I don't know, 6-7 weeks, where it's like they're looking a lot more like the Buffalo and Dallas games where they get steamrolled. And you're sitting there like they're uncompetitive. Like if they start becoming an uncompetitive outfit every week, and the problem is too, Jake, we don't know what's going to happen at the deadline. They could trade off half their roster, and it's like they're likely just tanking. I'm sure it'll be somewhere in between, but I think you start to have the one and done conversation. If they get embarrassed, they get on national television, right? They play New England, I believe, week 11 or week 12 on national TV, or week 13, whatever it is. Every week, red zone's flipping it. Oh, the Jets get steamrolled again. That stuff keeps happening, and it's a lot more palatable. We could be in that situation. I think if they pick one, it's a real conversation. And I don't want it to be, but it probably is. I think if they end up 3-14, Jake, they pick third overall, and like they get 1 or 2 quote unquote fun wins at the end of the year, and there's like some type of competitiveness. It's probably not. I think the stat, you know, the last 4 coaches that picked number 1 overall were lame duck coaches picking quarterbacks and got fired after year 1 or in year one of that rookie quarterback. That can't happen. My conspiracy theory, Jake, and tell me if this is crazy. This is my conspiracy theory, probably of just trying to like rationalize what the hell we've watched the last 6 weeks. Is there a world in which Woody and Glenn are on the same page that this team sucked going into the year? They had to do the sell tickets thing. We're going to be competitive. But all at the same time, they were like, we're going to be awful and like, we're going to own it. Is there any chance that that's what happened? Or like, are they just actively bad and they're not trying to be bad?
I just think Aaron Glenn
There's no way, right?
Too much. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
He came in and said, we're here to win now. He pushed back on any rebuild. He took shot after shot at Fields' previous coaches and said he's never been coached properly. We're going to let him play quarterback. He said all these things about how we're not going to be the most penalized team in the league. Penalties are still a huge problem. He said that the last 4 minutes of each half belonged to the coach. He's been horrific, and it was absolutely historically
that was a mistake.
horrific.
That was a mistake.
Like, Will, I'm a Jet fan. I want Aaron Glenn to turn this around, but I'm just not going to blindly say,
No,
well,
you
he
shouldn't.
gets a second year no matter what. He's been an abject disaster so far.
No one should be no matter what. Not a single player on that team outside of the tackles, Garrett, Sauce, right, are guaranteed to be back next year. Because most of those guys you either can't trade or should not trade, or Pittman too. But like, other than that, every single person, there should be like about 45-ish guys on that roster. And every person on that staff is competing to be earning their contract next year. And again, if they play like that, Jake, and they're still bad, I think all of us, no matter what, deep down would be like, I get it, right? You kind of be like, all right, maybe they're just not good enough, they're not talented enough, all that stuff. It's when the compete level and the just like dumb decisions pile up is, I think, your frustration and many people's frustration. Trust me, I was there. The frustration, dude. I had someone sitting next to me at that game. She goes, I don't watch football at all. Mom was really cool. Her daughter went to the game. They're season ticket holders, but like the husband usually go, whatever. Long story short, she's like, I don't know jack shit about football. He goes, I know when they score a touchdown, what that means. Other than that, I'm just here to drink. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. You know, classic Jets fan in a good way. And she's like, the quarterback and the coach are a problem. This woman was probably 80 years old, had probably nine pints in her. And she still is acknowledging the dumb mistakes that were happening, the slow play of the quarterback. My point is that stuff can't continue. Is Michael Clemens being bad a thing? Who cares at this point, right? Like, that is the least of my concerns. My concerns is like the quarterback looks like he shouldn't be on an NFL field, and the head coach looks overwhelmed and is swimming the last 4 minutes of each half. That stuff needs to change, or else you're going to end up honestly looking at probably 2-15, 1-16, and the one and done conversation becomes a real thing.
Well, the thing is, I remember Nate Hackett's first year with Denver. His first game, he had that debacle at the end.
Yep, you knew right away.
His first game. like
You knew right
sometimes
away.
you just know the coach is in over his head. Steve Wilkes was one and done when they had the first pick. Was the right move to move
How
on.
funny is that if Steve Wilkes is Aaron Glenn gets Steve Wilkes?
I mean, like you're seeing it more and more. And to those who say, "Oh, well, Woody, is he really going to want to pay enough?" Like, did people realize how much money Woody has? He just purchased a soccer team across the pond. I don't think it's about money with Woody. If he really needed to do it, he could. I think it's about ego with him. Will, does he want
I
to
think that
admit?
Woody banged the table for AG. Like that, it was his guy,
That's what I'm saying.
right?
Like, does he
Like
want to
that's
admit
more
a
about it,
mistake?
not the money.
It's
Dude,
ego.
He ate a ton of money to cut Rodgers, man. Like that's not it. That's not He dished out a ton of money in guarantees this offseason. He's been top 5 in cash spend on the roster pretty much every year outside of last year. Do I think Woody wants to sit there and eat $75 million and Glenn and the entire staff's contracts? No, obviously not. No one with a straight face other than, never mind. People would want to, take that much money or give that much money away. But I think it's not even about that. It's paying the money and then acknowledging the guy that you wanted isn't the guy after 1 year is a pretty rough thing to have to admit. And maybe he will, and maybe Glenn won't be the guy. Maybe he's Dan Campbell and Jimmy Johnson. He's probably not. But people are going to talk themselves into Detroit was 0-10-1. Their first 11 games in Detroit, they were the laughing stock. Hey, Jimmy Johnson was 1-15. They were terrible, and then he turned it around. All those conversations, but there's also those guys. There's Steve Wilkes, and other things like that. Garrett Wilson is doubtful with a knee sprain for Sunday.
Here's the update for you from Glenn,
Yeah.
who just spoke moments ago. Wilson, Stiggers, Cam Jones, all doubtful. Carter and Reynolds.
We can change
that
to out. We can change that to out.
Yeah.
If you guys, by the way, there's no more. I'm pretty sure probable anymore. Right? I think it's either probable or questionable. It's not a thing anymore. So it's either you're doubtful to play or questionable to play. I don't think probable is no longer a thing.
Correct. And by the way, it's a perfect segue to get your thoughts on this. It's not my biggest issue with Glenn because ultimately, winning games is the number one thing. But these press conferences, they're brutal, and they're turning people who are his supporters. They're turning him against him. He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt from anyone if he keeps acting this pompous and this delusional and quite frankly, clueless after games. For him to not know how long the field goal was at the end, even if Nick Folk would not have hit from 61 or 62, he's talking about it being 65 or 68. For him to snap at Costello the way he did about the question about benching Fields, that tells me that he didn't even consider doing it in the actual game against Denver, which just tells me a guy who claims to be the head coach of the whole team and not a defensive coach, a guy who is not play calling on defense or offense. His job is to manage the whole team. It tells me that he's just clueless, and that concerns me.
Yeah, that's fun. It's so weird doing your show without being able to see the comment section. I'm sure Curly, Ghost, and some other person's burner probably cooking me right now, and there's probably a good amount of people that no. And look, I think the press conference stuff is tough because in some ways I don't care, right? I think we all, I don't mean, I'm not being condescending. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. Salah was a great presser in the beginning, and they were terrible too. Belichick's the worst notorious presser of all time, and until the last 2 years, he's been amazing. So does it really matter? No, but I do think some of the verbiage either needs to either go full coach speak, Jake, and just be a dick all the time, or don't do it at all. Because the in between is where you're getting caught, where it's I don't know if I was more concerned that he either didn't know how long the field goal was, which is obviously a huge concern. And I really have a tough time believing he didn't know. I can't possibly imagine that's the case. But then he said we needed to get to the 35, Jake, which, yes, on a neutral field in cold weather, Folk probably could go to 52, 53 max. Okay, so that's around the 35. My issue, Jake, is that he kicked a 58-yarder 3 weeks ago and drilled it. Right down the middle, probably was good from 61, 62 maybe. Do I think that Nick Folk would have made the kick on Sunday? I do not. I don't. I think that was asking a lot. Do I think I like the chances better of Nick Folk and his big belly making an extra 3 yards on his kicks from what he did in Miami versus Justin Fields completing a forward pass? I think I did. You know what I mean? And then if you were going to kick it, If you weren't going to kick it the whole time, then why'd you run it on second down? And if you were going to kick the whole time, why'd you throw it on first and third down? Like, there's no rhyme or reason to what they were doing. It was kind of like panicking each time. That needs to be cleaned up. And the last thing on that last drive, Jake, which is part of what he talked about, like, Justin Fields has not been horrendous every game. That's unfair. He was amazing week 1. He was okay against Miami and okay-ish against Dallas. He was horrendous against Buffalo, arguably just as bad as he was, if not worse, against Buffalo, because against Buffalo, he actually turned the football over, and the game was over when he fumbled.
And the defense didn't show up for that one.
The defense didn't show up, right. So, it doesn't make him, like, the bad guy, but, like, his EPA was pretty much equally as bad. It's not even, like, just – I don't know. I keep going back to this dude, and I know it's probably not even answering the question, but, like, Kyle was on my show in August, and he's a Bears guy, right, like, by nature, and Kyle came on, and his entire segment was Fields is a great dude, very easy to root for. Everything he says is never going to be the wrong thing. He's going to have people that staunchly defend him. A few highlight plays. Everyone's going to talk about how good he is in the locker room. Well-liked, hard worker, the whole thing. He goes, the unfortunate part is he never fucking wins games. That was exactly the quote. He was like, he's never going to win games. And unfortunately, his first six games as a Jet is pretty much that. He's had a couple cool plays. He hasn't said the wrong thing. He's tough as nails. He takes shots, the whole thing. Everyone loves him. The problem is they're 0-6. And I know we probably want to touch on Rodgers quickly. With Rodgers, are they probably 2-4, 3-3? They probably are, Jake. They probably are. I would make the argument that the fan base would be apoplectic if the Jets went 8-9 with Rodgers and then $863 million and didn't get their quarterback.
But you know what, Will? Here's the problem.
Yeah.
They'd be blaming Rodgers, and the reality is it would give this coaching staff another year and give him a chance to pick a quarterback and ruin said guy. So I'm glad Aaron gets to go to a real team and gets to show he's still a competent starter, which is what he was last year. They just had the right support around him.
And people are going to take this the wrong way. And this is not even people are in the NFL have said this for 4 years now. Rodgers is a really elite game manager still. Like, he can, generally speaking, he'll operate the clock well. He'll get guys in positions. He dumps the ball off. The ball comes out of his hands quickly. He doesn't turn it over a ton, although last night obviously he had a couple interceptions, but generally doesn't turn it over a ton. But everything else around him has to be cooking, and that's what last night was obviously exactly what the Jets-Steelers game was. It's just the Bengals made the play at the end, and the Jets didn't. But overall, I said this on the pod this morning. I think it's best for both that they moved on, and I was the biggest Rodgers fan, and he's going in the Hall of Fame 25 times over. Of all the Jets decisions that they've made over the last 7-8 years, Rodgers is not the one I'm the most annoyed about. I think I'm annoyed that they didn't take the full cap hit this year, but I'm very annoyed about it. But other than that, I kind of get it. I get them wanting to move on and kind of wipe the slate. And I get for Rodgers, it's probably the better situation. I mean, he's a guy. He's a guy in a greater kind of sphere. With Pittsburgh, I think with the Jets, it would have still been Rodgers' team. There would have been Super Bowl expectations, even if it wasn't fair. And I just think it's best for both to move on. I really wish they hit the full money, dude. I asked at the combine. You were standing next to me, and I got basically spat on for asking it. I don't know. If the Jets weren't owing Rodgers any money next year, the Fields money that they're likely going to have to eat wouldn't matter. But they're probably going to have to eat both. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's my big issue, right? Boomer Esiason said the other day, hey, whoever gave Fields that contract should be fired. Well, the reality is the head coach gave him that contract. They wanted Justin Fields. They were all in on Fields. And it concerns me that they're taking shots at the Bears and Steelers' previous coaching staff saying Fields has never been coached properly. We're going to let him play quarterback. And Fields has never looked worse than he just did on Sunday. And then Glenn was very arrogant with what he wanted from his quarterback when they moved on from Rodgers. They asked him what you want, and he said, I want a winner. So you hired Justin Fields, who's never won anything, and the only time he won something was when he was 4-2 and still got benched because Mike Tomlin knows more than you, Aaron Glenn. Come on.
Yeah, this is where Glenn gets himself in trouble. And a lot of coaches early on get themselves in trouble. I think Boone gets himself in trouble with this with the Yankees. I think a lot of these guys, dude, I get coach speak 100%. These guys lie to our faces 24/7. Boone and Cashman did it yesterday. Literally lied straight to our face. Boone said Bobby wasn't affected by a torn labrum, and then Cashman came on 15 minutes later and said it drastically affected him. Just get your story straight. and run with the same narrative the whole time, because that's the reality of what a lot of these guys do, right? These coaches. Glenn just said Garrett Wilson's doubtful. Garrett Wilson's doesn't practice. He's not playing Sunday, right? And if he plays, like, I think we'd all be happy, but, like, he's not playing Sunday. But obviously it's the coach speak. I just feel like you could have described Fields in different ways than, like, being a winner. He hasn't ever won. He got steamrolled in the national championship game, and it's not his fault. Like, that Alabama team would have beaten this current Jets team. Obviously, I'm kidding, but, like, I don't know. The Fields thing is frustrating because it was a worthwhile lottery ticket, Jake, because there was an avenue in which it worked, and it's like he built on last year, and look at the success Baker and Darnold specifically have had. Geno's fallen off a cliff, but it hasn't worked, and it likely won't work, and it feels like the best chance for them to save their jobs is eventually going to be going to Tyrod, and, you know, how many games is Tyrod going to make it through healthy? I hate.
Would you agree, though, Will, if Tyrod goes or if Fields goes out there in the first quarter and looks inept?
I bet you he gets benched on Sunday if he looks like dog shit in the second quarter.
He has to. And if Glenn doesn't,
well, you can't lose the locker room, dude. You saw Mendel's reaction. You know, and it's not that, like, also Fields he's not their guy, so it doesn't matter. Like, Solomon.
That's the problem with not benching him in the first place at halftime or at any point in the second half of that game Sunday. You don't owe Fields anything. That's what the money is for. That's why you paid him. It hasn't worked. You're not tied down to him. You need to win a game. Have a feel for your team. Win a football game. I dare you, Aaron Glenn. Win one game, please.
The Zach Wilson thing was different, and I think we all got pissed about it, but it had to reach such a point where the locker room was literally going to revolt if they didn't bench him after that New England game where he
it was the right move.
He looked like Justin Fields, did, and that was obviously a horrific performance, that 10-3 game. So, like, a lot of similar vibes from that one, like two middling teams, like, you know, battling out bigger dog shit. And the issue for me is, like, okay, you gave Fields really long leash, and they've done right by him. No one can say the Jets are, like, screwing Fields over. The Jets have done everything they can to, like, put him in a position where he's the unquestioned starter. He didn't have to compete for his job. He got his college wide receiver. He got a good offensive line, all this different stuff, and it hasn't worked. And it's unfortunate, Jake, and it sucks. But, like, he's just not a starting quarterback right now in the NFL, you know, for maybe more than a period of a couple games. And especially, dude, he doesn't run anymore. I don't know if you know, like, he doesn't run at all. They called the design run for him last week, and he ran right out of bounds. He ran away from contact. And, you know, he doesn't scramble very much. If he can't run, dude, how effective is he, right? Like, he's not a precision passer. He's not a timing guy. He's a guy who can thrive with guys running open, and you can scheme stuff up. But when they scheme stuff up and guys are open, he doesn't throw the football. So, I mean, at this point, like, yes, Tyrod elite. No, dude, Tyrod's fine. But the ball is going to be out. The ball will be out on time sometimes. And, like, he gives guys a chance, and he can operate a 2-minute offense, which the Jets could operate a 2-minute offense. They're 2-4 right now, dude, at a minimum. At a minimum, they're probably 3-3, realistically. The Dallas game, I swear, goes differently if they can punch. They score in that first drive.
It's
right.
Just,
like,
it's brutal,
all these
man.
games feel like they go to Miami. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Hey, and the head coach knew to keep the right returner on the team when every fan knew Xavier Gibson didn't belong on the 53. They win.
If Tyrod's their starter for 6 games, again, this is such a stupid what if. If Tyrod starts 6 games and Kenny's their returner for all 6 games, they're 3-3. Probably, right? Roughly 3-3.
It's on Glenn, man. This was his decision making.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is why my big thing with coaching, though, above all else, right? And this is where I killed them the most on Sunday. Is it their fault Fields was terrible? No, it's no one's fault Fields left his brain in New York. What I will give them a hard time about, is there guys open? Sure, there's guys open, dude. That's awesome. And, like, your scheme can work. And it's not effective. There's 2 different things, right? Like, it can be, hey, a pitcher, you throw 80% strikes. Cool, dude. Like, you threw strikes. Was it an effective pitch? Was it matching up with what the other team was matching up with? Justin Fields didn't have it, which means as the coach, you have to recognize he doesn't have it and either change your game plan. And if your game plan change doesn't work and he still doesn't have it, you have to yank him. Like, that's just the reality of it. So, like, it's on Glenn not that Glenn Fields played bad. It's on Glenn and Engstrom that they kept bashing their head into a wall, expecting Fields to be a different player than he was the entire game. That's the frustration. Anyone with a pulse could see it, dude. That's where it's like annoying. Like it wasn't like this nuanced conversation of like, oh, dude, like the Broncos are moving from cover 6 and then they're like throwing cover 6 shell and moving into cover 2 and then they're doing this and they're doing this and like there are all these different 10 blocks they're running is getting our 7 tech trapped. Like that's not what it was happening. It was like the quarterback can't see the field, he's not making decisions, and he's not even throwing the football, and it's killing us. And the defense is getting pissed, the offensive line's getting pissed, the receivers are pissed. Figure it out. Just figure it out, man. Please just figure it out.
Couple quick hitters for you, Will.
Yeah.
Curly Norman writes in, and he's in our Jermaine Johnson signed jersey raffle at the end of today's stream for one. Thank you, Curly. He goes, I know I lean towards the negative side. After the Bills game, I asked if we get a win before the bye week, and Will laughed it off. Will Pa, do you still think that's a silly question? Glenn is horrific.
I think most people would have laughed it off. Funny story in London, Curly Norman was put up, not by me. Someone said, hey, I know Curly always gets after you in the comments section. He's actually a very nice guy and a really like a good human being. And I was like, I'm sure he is. He's like, he's just a little negative on the comments section. Don't let it get to you. And I was like, no, I'm sure he's a great dude. Yeah, there's a good chance they're 0-8, dude. Like, what's to tell you? Do I think there's a path they're 2-6? Yeah, I do. And I also think there's a path they're 0-8. Like, the Jets are a high variance team right now because they've shown that it's going to take a lot for them to win a football game. They're in 50% of the games they're going to end in the last 30 seconds. And the other 50% right now, they get steamrolled. I don't know which the next two are going to be, right? Like, is it the Cowboys game? Is it the Bills game? Or is it more like, Tampa?
Dude,
Pittsburgh.
0-8 going into the bye, 2 weeks of one and done talk. That is miserable.
Jake, as people who do this for a living, the apathy we're getting close. And that is not fun.
No, it is not.
Not fun
Trust
at all.
me, not good. I'll be breaking down college QBs having draft guys on during the bye week if they're 0-8 at the bye. Good Lord. Let me also follow up with this, Will. I'm going to read you something Aaron Glenn said that is another example of a head coach who has no clue what he's doing. So this is right from Zach Rosenblatt's Twitter account. In fact, I'm even going to pull the full tweet because it has the full quote here so no one could say you're taking things out of context. No, this is what an actual NFL head coach just said while trying to defend Justin Fields, who holds onto the ball longer than pretty much everyone in the league, we think, right? Well, not according to Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn on Justin Fields holding onto the ball pointed out that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have a high average time to throw too. Quote, I know that's a huge topic that everyone talks about, but there's a lot that goes into that. When you look at the time he gets the ball out, some of those have been his best games where he holds the ball for 3 seconds or whatnot. That's who he is. I'm not sitting here saying he doesn't need to get the ball out. There's some quick game where the ball has to get out. But there's also an element of we know who that player is.
I'm going to debunk this in 3 seconds. So just
here's the end part. You look at Lamar, his number getting the ball out is higher than Justin's. I think Josh Allen's numbers are higher than Justin's. Everybody tends to see who those guys are and understands that. For some reason, they don't understand Justin. Well, let me say this to Aaron Glenn, who once again is proving he has no idea how to properly evaluate quarterback play and why, if this team's the worst dog shit team in the NFL, he should be one and done. Perhaps, Aaron, it's because Lamar and Josh are MVP quarterbacks, while Justin Fields is barely a functioning one. Will, your thoughts?
So can you go to my Twitter? Because I'm on my phone. Go to my Twitter. I posted the graphic yesterday where that 5-yard Aaron Rodgers box tweet. I want you to pull it up while we talk about this because this is going to debunk the entire thing. This is why it's just stupid. I say like Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields throwing a 5-yard box. Just one throws it quickly, the other doesn't. The reason I bring this up, here you go, okay? I want you to find where Lamar is and Josh Allen. Josh Allen's
Lamar
in the
is top right, and so is Josh Allen's top right.
And what's on the left side, Jake? I'm not talking to you like an idiot. I'm look where their A-dot is, right? Lamar Jackson, average depth of target, over 9 yards. Josh Allen was at 8. Justin Fields, 4th worst in the NFL. So he's holding the ball for all that time, an egregiously amount of a long time, right? Highest in the NFL. And he also throws it the 4th shortest on his average depth of throw. That's the problem. It's not that he's holding the ball forever. No one would give a shit. The reason people are pissed is he holds the ball forever and then he throws the ball, he throws checkdowns. It's not like he's pushing the ball down the field. Look at Sam Darnold, Stafford. That top left quadrant's amazing. Obviously, balls out quickly, and you're obviously pushing the ball down the field. even Daniel Jones, and these guys like that are getting the ball out pretty quickly. Baker, and then the guys that hold on to the ball forever, Allen, May, Hurts, Dart, Caleb. They hold the ball forever, right? Guess what, dude? They're pushing it down the field. And then you look at Justin Fields, he's barely throwing it further than Dylan Gabriel and Aaron Rodgers, who are getting the ball out in like a full over a second quicker. That's the problem. That's why this is a conversation. Time to throw on its own. Yes, mobile quarterbacks hold the ball longer, Jake. He's 100% right. That's only half the story. The other half of the story is he doesn't push the ball down the field. So holding the ball just to do nothing with it is not effective. Holding the ball to be Lamar and push the ball down the field, that's effective. Josh Allen runs around back there, holds it, Jake, and then he's pushing the ball down the field. That's the problem I have.
And like the thing is, if he's not able to use his legs, he's worse than Zach Wilson as a drop back pocket quarterback. And the Jets knew that Fields was clearly compromised with his legs this past game because they didn't call any plays where he could take off and run, which is more proof that the head coach, based on his comments, based on his actions, he has no feel for how to be a head coach and specifically how to oversee offense, a quarterback. Why am I letting this guy draft and potentially develop the number one pick in the draft? And why should I feel any confidence whatsoever that he's the right guy to handle all that comes with it? Because I got news for you, Will. You and I were Sam Darnold people. They picked the right quarterback, but they failed, Sam, by giving him Todd Bowles for his first coach. And then they doubled down with Adam Gase, who was historically worse. Like, that can't happen with whoever they take number one overall. You can't do it.
No, you can't. I guess I'll finish with this. Look, there's a path in which this is tenable for them to take a quarterback. They've got to show some signs here, man. I don't know if it's like winning a game or two at the end of the year with Brady Cook, and they're like, wow, look, the offensive, it runs properly. If it's Tyrod running the offense properly. But, like, you want to see, like, the scheme work. It's hard to even evaluate the scheme right now because when guys are open, they're not getting the football. They're calling a totally different game. It's like, again, it's really hard to evaluate the offensive line. Dude, like, it's hard to evaluate the receivers, although we think we know most of the receivers aren't very good. It's hard to evaluate Mason Taylor. It's hard to evaluate anything when the quarterback's not only Jake is he not very good, he doesn't throw the ball. Like, that's the problem. It's not like they're even running the wing T offense where it's like, wow, Justin Fields is, looks like he's playing at Georgia Tech. Like, it's 5 carries for 24 yards every week. It's not like this explosive running game that Breece Hall is getting 18 for 101 and a touchdown. Isaiah Davis gets 12 for 48, and then Justin Fields is 10 for 55 and a touchdown. It's like Justin Fields is 5 for 20, Breece Hall is 17 for 52 yards, and Isaiah Davis is 2 carries for 6 yards. Like, that's not effective football. So they gotta either find guys that are going to make them be able to run their scheme properly, which is what we saw with LaFleur, right? Where like Mike White and Josh Johnson and Flacco and everybody else looked good except Zach Wilson, or if you're going to live and die on the Justin Fields hill, like, there's a good chance you're out of a job next year.
All these odds are courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm going to pull up how you did last week, but overall, you've been off to a very good start. We do this every week when you come on the show. This week it's for the Jets and the Panthers. While I pull up your record going in, let's start with our first over-under for you to opine on passing touchdowns. We'll start with Fields. The over-under is set at 1.5. I love the under on this. But you tell me how you feel.
No, I'll take the under on it as well. While I do think he'll be able to target the tight ends, the Cowboys did a great job of it last week. I can't see him I can barely see him throwing 1 touchdown, let alone 2.
All right. By the way, if you're curious, Nick, how you did last week, you were 12-13. But overall,
that's not too bad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. No,
overall, you're 48-38 on the season. So you're 10 games over 500. That's a season winning percentage of nearly 56%. So anyone has been basically taking all your picks. Guess what? They've actually still have made some money. All right. Bryce Young over under passing touchdowns, 1.5.
I'll take the under on that as well. I think he throws 1 touchdown. Most of the damage will be on the ground.
Passing yards now. Over under 171.5 for Fields.
I'm gonna take the over. No, excuse me. No, screw that. Garrett's not playing. I'm taking the under.
Bryce Young over under 193.5.
I'll take the under as well. I think this is gonna be a running game.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's now do wide receiver /running back /tight end total yards. Over under. We'll go through each of the following players here, Nick. Over under Tet McMillan, T-Mac, 55.5 yards.
I'll take the under on that, but just barely.
Mason Taylor might be the number one receiver on Sunday. He, of all the Jet players, has the highest yardage projected over at FanDuel. 40.5 over under.
I'll take the over. Carolina does not defend the tight end well.
This is an over for me as well. I do think they'll get Mason Taylor involved a lot. Josh Reynolds, who will play, thank God. I can't believe I'm saying that. Over under 27.5.
I'll take the over on that as well.
Breece Hall didn't have a target this past game. His over under set at 25.5.
Over.
Jalen Coker, he's back. First game, 23.5 over under.
Under. I think he'll get to around 20.
Xavier Legette, over under 18.5.
I'll take the over.
Rico Dowd, over under 12.5.
I'm going to take the under on that one.
He's going with the under. All right, here we go. We did wide receiver, tight end, running back yards. How about same thing, but receptions this time? Let's start with Tet, over under 4.5 catches.
4.5. I'll take the under. I think he hits 4. I don't think he goes over.
Mason Taylor, you went over on his yards. How about receptions? 4.5.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
Josh Reynolds, over under 2.5.
Over.
I like this one as well. I'd go over on Reynolds. Breece Hall, over under 3.5.
Over, absolutely.
Jalen Coker, over under 2.5.
I'll take the under. I think he'll get 2 catches.
Xavier Legette, over under 2.5.
Over.
Rico Dow, over under 2.5.
Over.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, rushing yards. Over under. Breece Hall, 69.5.
I'll take the over.
This feels like a Breece game if there ever was.
Yeah, it really does.
Rico Dow, over under 59.5. After the last couple of games, he's been on an absolute tear.
I'm going to take the under, and only because Chuba Hubbard is set to play, I believe, right?
He is going to play. His over-under set at 33.5, though.
I'll take Hubbard on the over, Daddle on the low.
Justin Fields, his legs, are they healthy? He told you guys this week he's feeling a lot better. Over-under 41.5 rushing yards.
I'm going to believe him. Over.
All right. Last but certainly not least, here is a look at touchdown scorer odds. I'm not going to have you project each one, but give us anything on the board that you like from a value standpoint.
I like Hubbard at anytime touchdown. I think his return is going to limit the impact on Dowdle. I again, because of his running ability, I have to say Justin Fields anytime touchdown because it's just his running ability should be able to get there. Let's see. I'll take Legette for a score. And I will take Arian Smith with a touchdown. Arian Smith.
Not even listed here. I'd have to go dig deep to see if FanDuel has odds for super underdogs. I'll look into that because this could be an Arian Smith game. Can we get odds on Arian Smith attempted pass thrown his way over 20 yards?
3.
You think they're actually going to try and air it out?
I think they're going to try. I don't know if it's actually going to succeed.
Wonderful. Score prediction for Sunday.
Panthers 23-17. I'm sorry. I wish I could pick the Jets, but I can't. I just can't right now.
Moral victory, yes or no?
At 0-7? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Good job.
Nick, you once upon a time were a very positive man. It's amazing to see what the Jets have done to you.
Listen, I try to be. I really try to be. I try to give a different outlook. I will say, I talked to the locker room today. It seemed like the team was still all in on Glenn. That could be a reason Johnson decides to stick with him. Is that the right call? Is that the right decision? I don't know. It's really hard to say at 0-6.
By the way, Arian Smith plus 490 anytime touchdown. Thank you to Nate who just sent me the FanDuel odds for that.
I'll take it. I'll throw it
right.
in there. I'll make you all rich.
There you have it, Nick. Keep up the good work. And look, if you want last chance to throw your name in the hat, if you want to sit with Big Cho in section 129 with us on Sunday, I mean, you're going to the game already. Just come down from the press box.
I would, but I like the press conference, the press food a little bit more. So apologies.
Big Cho will buy you food.
To be determined. To be determined.
Big Cho.
All right, Nick, thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks, buddy.
I'm gonna do my silly dance, 'cause we're built like shit. What kind of a question is that? We have the